What up, everyone? Welcome to another live stream where we are going to do a live reaction here in a few minutes. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Nicole. I'm a former fatty turned certified nutrition coach, now living and promoting the low-carb lifestyle. I am joined here by semi-retired Bob and Jonathan with Carnivore Muscle. So as people are entering, please drop this video a like on all of our streams. It really helps the YouTubes push it out and let people know that we're here. But to help get us started, why don't we just quickly go around the horn since we're streaming to all of our channels and just do a quick introduction and let us know how long you've been doing carnivore. So why don't we start with you, Bob?
I am, as it says underneath my name, I am semi-retired Bob. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. I'm approaching 16 months. I'm about a week and a half shy of 16 months on the carnivore diet. I have healed all of my metabolic issues. And as a side effect, I've lost about 155 pounds.
Thank you, Bob. Jonathan.
Nicole, what'd you do that for?
Wait. That's all I got.
All right. Yeah, I'm Carnivore Muscle, formerly known as Composition Consultant, or you can call me Jonathan. I make a lot of videos about exercise, nutrition, building muscle, losing fat on the carnivore diet. So check me out if you're not subscribed yet already. And if you're also subscribed to me but not semi-retired Bob and former fat girl, get on it. Cheers.
And as I said earlier, I'm Nicole. I've been doing carnivore, ketovore, low carb, whatever you want to call me, since the beginning of the year. So about 7-ish months now. Honestly, I stopped counting. And I do a lot of reaction videos and educational videos, specifically around nutrition. And I am trying to do more interviews with healthcare professionals. I've done one with a physician assistant, a registered dietitian. So I'm trying to get more people in my industry on my channel, whether they do low carb or disagree. I think I like differing opinions. And I'm also about to chat with Dr. Tony Hampton in a couple weeks about diabetes specifically. So as Jonathan said, please drop us all a sub if you're watching from my channel and aren't subscribed to Semi-Retired Bob or Jonathan, please do so, and vice versa. Please feel free to drop me some love as well. But let's welcome some people in the chat and chat with you all for a few minutes before we get into this fun reaction. We are going to be reacting to Tristyn Lee. If you didn't see mine and Jonathan's previous video, he was carnivore for what, Jonathan? About 5 years. And now he is consuming upwards of 500 grams of carbs a day. So I found a recent what he eats in a day video consuming 500 grams of carbs. So we're just going to do a fun little reaction to see what Tristyn is eating now, going from carnivore to 500 grams of carbs. So definitely feel free to drop your questions as we do the reaction, and we'll have the opportunity to address them as we go. But Rick is here. What's up, Rick? Rick is always here. Appreciate the support, Rick. Hi, folks. Have a nice evening. Wait, are you gone? Did he leave?
No, he always says that. I think he watches it after, so he might go to bed or something. Yeah.
Gotcha. So I did not get any new channel members, so feel free to go to my channel and join my channel and drop some support if you're not already. But Patricia Wilson is a new YouTube channel member of either Jonathan and Semi-Retired Bob, or as well as Andy. So we have a couple new channel members. Thank you guys for your support. It means a lot.
Thank you. Yeah. Excellent. Well advised.
We got Sana here. What up, Sana? Thank you for joining us. We got Carrie from My Metamorphosis. Hello. Is Craig joining us today? addicted to antlers. Who's Craig? Do either of you know?
Yeah, Craig is the sardine king on my channel.
Oh. Sonda says, hello, Nicole, Mr. Bob, and Jonathan.
Sana is the unofficial head chef of my Facebook group because she posts some amazing food pictures.
Oh, nice.
Sana is awesome.
Yeah, she has some good content coming out of some cooking videos and stuff. So I can't wait to see her put her GoPro to use. What's up, Lambs? Thank you for being here. John Boston, hello, Bob. Hey, I caught a live stream. Is Craig out fishing for sardines? Blech.
Now, see, if you're looking for sound effects to record, that's the sound effect
I know.
you should be recording.
That Bob lets me to record that. I have to. That is Kat. Hello. What's up, Mike? If you're not subscribed to Mike, feel free to drop him a sub. He's growing. I'm happy to see him getting more subs. He deserves it. But he did a what he eats in a day video yesterday. It was super quick and easy for him to record because it was one meal. So, but I like that he's doing more videos. So I appreciate you, Mike. Low carb carnivore. What's up, man? Tom J. Good evening. How many new pimples does Tristan have? we will all find out together. I think that comment offended Jonathan. Jonathan's gone. Jonathan's offended. All right. Thank you, Sana, for posting the links for Jonathan's channel.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Semi-retired Bob. I am doing okay, Bob. I did the walking challenge last month and did over 70 miles in July. Damn, good for you. Looks like it will be over 80 miles for August. I think I'm still on the challenge. Damn, good for you, man.
Yeah, he's one of my superstars in the channel. He back in July, I did a Get Movement challenge, and as a channel, we did over 3 million steps.
Oh, wow. July. That's awesome. I have a friend who tried for what was it, 100 miles for the month of June or July as well. So yeah, I think that's pretty awesome. Keto diet, 500 grams of carbs is over a pound of sugar per day. Good Lord. Oh, Mike says he released another one yesterday as well. Demonstration on electrical grounding. Oh, I saw that. It popped up in my notifications. I have to watch that one later today. All right. Thank you for being here, Joseph. All right, everyone. Hopefully my internet, Bob really gives me a hard time on my internet and streaming of video. So we're gonna do our best here. I'm gonna share my screen and hopefully this video cooperates. I do have a new computer, so hopefully that helps. So let's get going with this reaction. Jonathan and Bob, did either of you watch this video? I did not, so this is a raw reaction for me. But did either of you cheat and watch this video?
No, I couldn't be asked.
I did not cheat. I'm way too busy to since I knew I was going to be seeing it today. I don't have enough hours in the day to watch extra stuff. I mean, I gotta keep up with Mike's channel and Sana's channel, and I mean the list just keeps going on and on and on and on. I don't have time to watch extra stuff.
Yeah, that's a fair point. This is a busy space, which is actually good. It means it's growing and the word's getting out. But yeah, there's more and more content creators popping up, and there's lives almost every day, multiple times a day. So this is a very active community. It's hard to keep up with, but it's actually good to see. I'm enjoying seeing the community grow and more people becoming aware. All right, so I'm going to play a couple seconds of this video. Please let me know, everyone, if you can hear it okay and see it okay before we get too far into it. The beginning is just an intro, so I'll let that play and just drop me a thumbs up or whatever in the chat just to let me know you can hear it okay.
All right, YouTube, good morning, good night, whatever it is, wherever you are. We got a full day of eating today. It's about 6:30 right now, and I'm going to get my first meal in. Typically, I'd throw my first meal a little bit earlier, but
All right, before we get too far into it, Bob, Jonathan, did you hear it? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I could hear it.
Okay, cool. All right, here we go. Let's get some reaction going.
I just got back from like a 20-25 minute walk, just getting some morning light. We're about to go to the gym just after I hit this first meal. It's going to be technically my pre-workout meal, and then we're going to run through all of the meals in sequence after that. We might do a little bit of a grocery haul as well. We're back in Las Vegas, so we're going to be shooting.
Nicole, why is he wearing a jumper in the middle of summer?
Figured it'd be a good way to start with it.
I don't even know, where does he live? I don't even know where he lives.
Somewhere hot. I think it's in Vegas.
Well, he said he was in Vegas, so
Yeah,
I can't imagine wearing a sweatshirt like that in
Yeah,
Vegas this
heck
time
no.
of year.
it's like one surefire way to guarantee you get the least sunlight exposure at one of the most critical times of the day, I think.
Well, his body temperature regulation is probably jacked from all those carbs he's eating.
Yeah, but didn't he say that he just out and got a 25-minute walk in to get his morning sun? And I've always thought that the most exposure of skin to the sun you can get is beneficial. I'm certainly no expert on that, but that's what I thought I learned.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, 100%.
I mean, for in terms of like vitamin D uptake and absorption, yeah, middle of the day, 12 o'clock, midday sun, where the sun's directly overhead and your shadow's really short, that's a great time to do it. But in terms of like regulating your circadian rhythm, which is a good way to improve digestion, sleep, reduce stress, that's probably the optimal way to go about it. So I find that people that tend to get up early in the morning, get some sunlight when it's, just creeping up, they tend to sleep better. So that's probably one of the reasons. But I imagine he goes out throughout the day anyway. I mean, I hope he doesn't stay indoors,
A full day of eating, showing you guys some of my updated macros, some of the new nutrition that I've been implementing into my diet with the recent increase in carbohydrates to mass up and gain muscle. So without further ado, we're going to jump to meal one, and then we're going to head to
Before we jump to meal one, Jonathan, what do you say the increase of carbohydrates to mass up and build muscle? What are your thoughts on that?
I wonder what deficiency in fat he's got right now. I mean, he's gone from something like 0 grams of carbs to 500 plus in a given day, and within a space of about a month. I think that's too short of a transition, even if he is metabolically fit. Building more muscle with carbohydrates, I've just not seen it myself. I'm probably the most muscular I've ever been without actually consuming carbohydrates outside of, dairy and stuff. So,
Yeah. Do you have anything to say on that, Bob, before I go back to playing?
I don't know enough about it. I mean, I was a frail old man when I started this, and I'm still an old man. I've never had muscle in my entire life, and I don't know a thing about building muscle.
gym. Okay, so this is technically the pre-workout meal. Pretty simple. So we have 4 ounces of bison sirloin, which is a leaner cut. As I've re-implemented carbs, I've lowered the amount of fats that I'm taking in. I'm still getting adequate to support hormone health, all that different stuff. 95 grams of jasmine rice, just white rice. I found that this digestibility wise has worked really well for me. And just because we are training, it's like 7 o'clock right now. We're gonna be training at like 8 o'clock or something around there. I want something that's fast digesting. 100 grams of cucumber, just to throw that in. It's basically just water. I've just tried re-implementing some sort of what people see as a vegetable, which is essentially a fruit. And then of course we have some salt to go with it because it's literally 120 degrees here in Las Vegas, 48 degrees if you're.
And he's wearing a sweatshirt. It's 120 degrees. So what are your thoughts on that, Jonathan? Jasmine rice, cucumber, and a lean cut of steak for his first meal of the day, and hormonal health.
I guess to be completely fair, he is probably having the less toxic carbohydrate sources that you could have. If you're going to pick a vegetable or a fruit, as he says, cucumber's pretty safe. It's just water and a bit of fiber, I guess, tiny bit of potassium. White rice, as long as it's been washed properly, it's not the worst thing to have. It just obviously contains carbohydrates. In terms of hormonal health, what he's going to find is his insulin will go up immediately after this meal. Then he'll be hungry again very soon after. Now, in this kind of context where he's trying to mass up or build more sort of size, I can see why doing that is useful, at least to build more muscle, because his appetite will keep going up and up and up throughout the day. So we'll never really get that satiety point. And that's something that us bodybuilders use as a tool. So we have multiple meals so we can elevate that insulin throughout the day and therefore eat more food. But in terms of long-term health, not really, wouldn't really agree. There'll be a level of glycation which will affect the protein structures within the skin very quickly. And that goes up incrementally as he increases carbohydrates.
Okay. Yeah, I used to eat exactly this way. Lean and green. That's all I would eat. Rice, broccoli, chicken breast, ground turkey, all the lean meats, minimal fat. But I'm curious to see what his, since he said he's eating enough fat for his hormone regulation, I'm curious to see what types of foods he's eating later in the day. But I personally don't have a problem with this first meal. I don't know how rice would affect me now, but that used to be a huge staple in my diet, rice. But yeah, as far as the cucumber goes, that is largely water and really isn't going to do that much damage as far as carbohydrates go. Do you have anything to add, Bob?
Not really. Just looking at that big pile of rice makes my stomach hurt.
Yeah.
I can't imagine starting my day off with carbohydrates and then continuing to eat carbohydrates throughout the day. He is young enough that he can probably get away with it, unlike certain other influencers who have done basically what he is doing. And you can see the changes in even just their face over the last couple of years since they started eating all of that carb. And I think, I don't know anything about building muscle and being a bodybuilder and all that kind of stuff, but I think the long-term health effects, as Jonathan said, are not going to be helpful to this young man.
Yeah, I believe he's in his mid-20s. I think he's like, 25, somewhere around there. I believe he's in his mid-20s, early to mid-20s.
Yeah, I don't even remember early to mid-20s. I'm pretty sure I have T-shirts a lot older than that.
Oh, here we go.
Holy moly.
All right.
One of my Canadian or UK or pretty much anywhere other than the States, fellas. So we're going to smash this meal down and then we're going to head to the gym for a leg day. And then we'll get to the meals afterwards.
Damn, he brought the dance party. Who else in the chat's dancing?
Yeah, pretty sick.
We stretch time. Snare drum pass, wicked sins. Faster than the speed of light. And we don't look too guilty. We don't crave too much.
Muy bien.
You're calling it but I'm not gonna save you. No, I'm not gonna talk to you.
If you have anything to say, Jonathan, about his workouts, I'm not fast forwarding through it because this is a pretty short video. I can speed through this if you both don't want to critique his workout. I can skip all this. Do you guys want me to skip it?
Yeah, skip this. But I'll just say his knees are gonna snap up lifting the way he's lifting because he is flinging it. It's like he's kicking a football, but then there's a giant weight on the end of it, so it's really gonna damage your knees long term.
I was
other than that, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I was thinking for the leg extension because a lot of people overload the machine with a ton of weights to kind of be a hero, and that's going to kill your knees coming from someone with bad knees. So I was wondering what weight. I couldn't tell how heavy he was lifting with that movement, but I was thinking the same thing with his knees.
Meal 2 of the day. It's not really a meal, it's just a shake. But what I've been doing, as I said, is implementing some intra-workout carbs just to keep my calories up throughout the day. I find it a lot easier to get that fuel in. So this is cluster dextrin, just straight up. I said I did 25 grams intro, 25 grams post. And then when I do it with my post workout, I'll do 25 grams of cluster dextrin with 25 grams of whey protein as well, just to get a little bit of nutrition in right after my workout goes. So this is like right in the middle of the workout. We got 2 more exercises to go. And I'm taking that alongside some electrolytes as well because it's so damn hot here in Vegas. It's absolutely ridiculous. The amount of this shit that I go through is just insanity, but it keeps it going. Daniel's going to notice these fucking like first couple days here. You get like dry mouth, bloody nose, all that shit. So I think I got some leg curls up next. Probably going to be death, but hopefully this gets me through it.
Yeah, so that's one of the times I'm okay with the whole taking electrolyte things, because I know a lot of people in the community are big on pushing electrolytes and using that as a recommendation. And I've always said that I don't agree with that just as a recommendation to fix everything, up your fat, add electrolytes. But in this case, this is a good example. It's like 120 plus degrees in Las Vegas. He's working out. He's losing a lot of electrolytes, mostly sodium, in his sweat. So this is a prime example on when I would agree with replenishing your electrolytes. But just sitting like Jonathan, Bob, and I, and just in front of the computer screen because we're eating mostly meat, you really don't need to replenish your electrolytes. But that's all I want to say on this clip. Is this is a prime example on where I would agree with taking an electrolyte supplement. But Jonathan or Bob, whoever wants to go first, what do you have to say with his cocktail?
I would say, I saw that it was Relight, which is a Redmond product, and he was using Redmond salt earlier. Those are good salts and good electrolytes. My only issue with this entire section of the video is vocabulary. Kids, I apologize to all of my viewers that are watching this, because can't anybody make a video these days without swearing every third word? Do you not have a better vocabulary than that, or is that just what you haven't learned in school yet? Because you've been spending all your time trying to get buff and big muscles, you haven't had time to work on your vocabulary? That's what I've got.
It's a fair critique. Yeah, it's a fair critique.
What do you got, Jonathan?
I don't know. I think the carbohydrates, I think it is intra or post workout. I just don't see the point. I mean, he's had 2 meals already. Fine. After I've had 2 meals, I'm not ravenously hungry. I can eat a 3rd and 4th meal in a day, yeah. But I don't need to sort of spike insulin and do all this crazy stuff straight after workout anymore. My life is so much less complicated than this guy's. And I'm probably building more muscle. But yeah, with that being said, he's having electrolyte powders, which suggests that maybe he has some kind of symptomatic deficiency in maybe potassium, magnesium, and some other things. But he wouldn't have needed to do that if he ate potassium-rich foods like white potato. If he had that, it'd actually be more nutritious gram for gram than the rice. So although white rice and white potato are both well absorbed, providing you get rid of the skin of the potato, which is going to be a bit healthy with lower fiber, you're probably better off actually eating potato than rice, and you wouldn't need electrolyte products. So that's my take on it, really.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And supplements absorb differently. And granted, eating something like the rice and the potato, yes, you do have the fiber component where you're not going to absorb or digest a good portion of it, but you will still digest and absorb a portion of it. So it does still provide some benefit depending on the types of carbs you are eating.
1-0-7-3-7-4-1-8-2-4 go 1-0-7-3-7-4
25 grams, another 25 grams of carbs. This is technically still part of meal 2, and then 25 grams of fast digesting protein, aka whey, post workout.
Fast digesting protein. All right, Jonathan. What's up?
That's crazy. So his last little snack in the beverage was I didn't realize it's a pre-workout drink. So at this point he's had 4 meals per day. Whether you think it's a shake or a snack, every time you eat in a bolus, it is a meal. But it's just not a very sufficient meal. Probably doesn't contain much nutrients, vitamins, minerals. It will have some protein powder, great. That's about it. There's no real nutrition to it. I'd probably like to see him actually include something like raw milk if he can tolerate it, or something like that, or even just some eggs. Probably be a bit better long term as well, given some healthy fats. But yeah, I don't realize, or don't see why he's going to need 4 spikes in muscle protein synthesis at this point in the day. Assuming this is all he eats, okay, 4, maybe 5 is about as much you can get in. But people eating 6+ meals, unless they're in a specific circumstance where they have to gain weight, i.e. a powerlifter, a strongman, where they need extra weight. For a bodybuilder, you don't need 6 meals per day. It's definitely not a requirement.
Yeah, it's not a requirement, but that's what a lot of these influencers do. That's what's mainstream, is the chicken, broccoli, and rice, the intro workout, the pre-workout, the post-workout, like all these shakes. That's what's mainstream, and what these young kids, like I said, he's in his 20s, early to mid 20s. So that's what these kids think they have to do to be aesthetically pleasing. But at least he is consuming whey protein out of all the proteins he can consume. But yeah, I think if he would just make like his own shakes and add some raw eggs in there or something like that, or maybe even some raw milk, that would make it more balanced and provide more benefit than just all these powdered carbs and powdered protein supplements he's taken. What do you got, Bob?
Just what I said before. I think he's on the way to disaster by the time he gets to 40, because all those carbs can't be good for you long term. Yes, obviously you can watch him working out and he's got some muscle on him. He's doing great, but didn't he build all of that muscle being a carnivore, and now he's gone on to carbs for some reason? I don't understand what he's doing here besides destroying his long-term health.
Yeah, he did gain the bulk of it on carnivore. I think he just switched. I don't know how long ago, but this is a recent shift, like within the last couple of months, where that I've noticed that he added all of these carbs and started working with Renaissance. What is it? Renaissance periodization? Mike Israetel, is that his name?
Yeah, the guy with the hair that kind of looks like a turd on his head.
Yeah, the other guy, yeah. And then Ash says, the cynic in me says he will pack on a ton of gains and say it's all down to the carbs plus wink wink. Yeah.
Some good creatine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to make a point there about like okay, he built all his muscle on a carnivore or low carb or keto sort of diet. Fine, brilliant, great. So it has worked up to this point. But now he feels like he has to level up, which is he's actually probably taking a step backwards in terms of his health, recovery, his sleep. Everything's going to be much harder. With that being said, what I'm kind of thinking is I wonder how close he is to his peak fat-free mass. So there are calculations you can get online which work out your weight, maybe your waist, your height, all that sort of stuff, your body fat. And it will tell you, okay, your fat-free mass is this. And that will give you an indication of how far up you are, at least in terms of like elite levels. So the chances are he's not an elite bodybuilder, but you can at least work out how close he is to that point. And you might find he's just at his peak already. So it might be that he does 10 years of this diet and just takes a step backwards. So who knows? But that'd be interesting to find out.
Yeah, we do have a couple. Craig Smith says, Bob, look at Tristan's body. I think Nicole, in all caps, chose the wrong person to critique. There are probably better people that you guys could choose to pick on. Okay, so let me just give a little bit of background about how this came to be. So Jonathan and I did a joint collab on Tristyn Lee in the beginning when he initially made the shift from carnivore, 4 to 5 years carnivore, to now eating 500 grams of carbs. And in that critique, Tristyn Lee and Mike Rosatell from Renaissance Periodization went over the background and the thought process of the transition. So then Jonathan and I wanted to do a part 2 of that collab because it was well received with both of our audiences. It was a good critique, and I found this video that Jonathan and I were going to critique as a part 2 to that. And Bob had reached out and asked if he can get in on this as a friendly critique. So that's a little bit of background as to how this particular person, Tristyn Lee, came on our radar, because this is aligned to Jonathan's content when it comes to muscle building, body composition, and stuff. And then the nutrition piece is in line to my videos for the nutrition side. And I do have an exercise nutrition credential basics. Jonathan's more versed in that particular topic. And then Bob wanted to come at it from just his own personal experience and the knowledge he's gained. So that's how this collab came to be. I hope that helps a little bit on why we're critiquing Tristyn Lee. And then there was a question, low carb carnivore. Correct me if I'm wrong, but plant-based protein doesn't absorb nearly as good as meat-based protein. I know, Jonathan, you did a video on protein recently. What do you say about plant-based first whey protein and absorption and benefit?
Yeah, I mean, every product has a reason. Like even soy protein, well, that's great if you're vegan. Okay, fine. But it has phytoestrogens in it, and much larger amount than what you'd find in cattle dairy that's been, grown in the US. It's a lot more amount of like growth hormone and antibiotics and drugs and stuff. Now the other ones like whey protein, very good if you can tolerate it. If you're part of the, 20-25% people in the world that can tolerate it, very good. It does its job, high in leucine. But plant proteins, I mean, for the most part, they contain things like lectins, phytates, oxalates, particularly things like pea protein, and even some of like the seed proteins or like the nut proteins. They're rich in loads of different bad things that you don't want in your body, because they'll have to be grown with pesticides. The great thing about dairy is, so whey protein in this instance, is you don't need pesticides to create whey protein that comes from a cow's teat. That's literally it. There's no sort of like agriculture in that kind of way, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, and soy, the estrogen-like substance is isoflavones, and that reacts or interacts in the body similarly to estrogen. And that's what Jonathan was talking about there. Bob, do you have anything to say about all that before we hit play again?
Yeah, if you go back at 12:30, the baddest cat had a comment that I'd like to.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is the point that I think people need to pay attention to. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Sean O'Mara or not. He was one of the guests here at the Omaha Hard to Kill Summit a few weekends ago. And he does scans on visceral fat. And there are a lot of people that are called fat on the inside, thin on the outside. And you have to wonder, besides all of the other damage that the carbs are doing, how much of his so-called weight gains are visceral fat building up around his organs that are going to cause problems later in life again. And if you're not watching Sean O'Mara, you should, because he's got some really good stuff out there. He's doing some cutting edge research on visceral fat.
Yeah, that's definitely a fair point for sure. Jonathan, do you have anything to add to that before I push play again, or are you good?
I'll just summarize it for everyone. Do some sprints if you can do it, and find a piece of equipment that'll actually do it. There you go, 72 hours. Keep it simple.
We're about to go to Whole Foods and do our typical grocery haul since I'm out. Daniel's going to pick up some stuff as well, I think, or we're going to order it after. show you guys sort of typically what I get. Probably not going to be talking a lot in the store because it's going to be fucking annoying talking in the store. So typical grocery haul on a full day of eating. You guys are going to see some of the new carb sources, all that different stuff, and then obviously typical protein as well.
I just want to address one comment. Craig, we appreciate you. If you aren't a fan, maybe this isn't the video for you, but like Sean mentioned, we're not throwing stones at Tristan as a person. We are strictly looking at his food and providing education and information on what he's eating. But if this isn't the content for you, we completely understand.
Yeah, I don't know what to add to that. If he could point out where our critique hasn't been fulfilled and we haven't explained it very well, that'd be useful. That'd be helpful. Then we can explain what we mean. I get people like this comment all the time. The thing is, I am more muscular than Tristan Lee, and I am more ripped than him when I'm in contest shape. So I do speak from experience, and I'm validated and experience to talk about this. So that's all I'll say.
Yeah, and I personally don't think you have to look better or even the same as someone to provide knowledge and education and information. That's all we're doing here. So yeah, if you can provide an example on how we're throwing stones or being mean in our critique and our explanations, please do let us know. So that'll help us kind of shift this critique going forward if you can provide an example in that. Bob, do you have anything to add before we move on?
Yeah, well, again, as you guys have both said, we're not throwing stones at Tristan. We're throwing stones at the way he's eating and the carbs that he's dumping into his body and what we think the long-term effect of that might prove useful, especially from my point of view as just a carnivore that has been through a journey of healing. The only thing I've thrown a stone at Tristan about is his language, and he just did it again. Vocabulary, people, learn to use your words.
Rock on. All right. Let's see what he buys.
So we are back from Whole Foods. I don't know if it's a weekly grocery haul, but it'll last us for a little bit. There's some foods in here that are for Brendan, Tyler, or whatever. Hefty bill. But I figured I'd break down some of the different foods that I'm having. It is pretty similar to what I was doing even when I was doing carnivore. The only addition obviously is the carbohydrate sources. I haven't really shifted up my protein sources too much. I'll still have like sockeye salmon for the good omega profile. But I have added in, of course, the carbohydrates with the sweet potato primarily. And then underneath everything here, we also have some rice. So I like to get these sockeye salmon fillets or sockeye salmon packets because they're just so easy. I don't have to prep anything. And especially after my workout, it's an easy source of protein that's not too much fat that will allow me to get that protein in that I need. For my vegetables, I've only been doing zucchini and cucumber, which technically I believe cucumber is a fruit. So another lean source of protein that I'll sometimes do is bison sirloin steaks. They only had one there, so we picked up one of those. 2 bags of jasmine rice. We're gonna do meal 3. This is a little bit later than I typically have it. I normally have it about 40 minutes after my workout, but we had to go get the groceries themselves. We're gonna get.
All right. So we did have a question from Ash about his carbs. It must surely if you had reached his level of musculature while remaining so lean, chucking in a load of carbs seems illogical, ? Who wants to take this first? Jonathan, go ahead.
I don't understand what he's saying.
So if you reached his, please let me know if I'm not explaining your question properly, Ash, but because of his musculature and his leanness, his look, his stature, throwing in all the carbs he's consuming, the 500 plus grams of carbs, seems logical. He can get away with it. I think that's what he's asking here.
Yeah, I've read that in a different way. I saw about 3 different ways of interpret it. The way I'm kind of reading it for the most part is that he's been on a carnivore diet, low carb, keto, whatever. He's built a substantial amount of muscle, a good level of musculature for a man 21, 22 years old, whatever he is. And he's remained lean while he's doing it. So he's got lean and big. That kind of tells me Ash is trying to say he's done a great job, so why would he change it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what I think he's trying to say.
Yeah, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So with the level of carbs, so I personally, and I made this comment on Paul Saladino, because a lot of people kind of bash Paul Saladino, and I don't necessarily agree with it. This is going to be an unpopular opinion, but he surfs for 4 hours a day. He also skateboards and runs and hikes and goes to the gym. He's working out like 6 hours a day, every day in the hot Costa Rica sun. So he can get away with the amount of fruit and stuff he's eating, the carbs. So what do you think the same applies to Tristyn Lee with the amount of carbs he's eating and his lifestyle? Maybe that's another way of interpreting that question.
Maybe.
I think that, speaking of the person you just mentioned, yes, he does get away with it for the most part because he is so active. But if you go back and look at his videos from just 2 years ago, and you can do that now because if you click on somebody's channel page at the very top of the videos list, when you click on the tab that says videos, you can then pick oldest and start from the back and work forward. And you don't have to go back very far to see a substantial difference. I'm not going to comment on anybody's appearance because that's not allowed on the YouTubes, but I'll let you be the judge of that. If you go back and look at his videos from a couple of years ago and compare them to today's, there's a pretty big difference there. And I understood the question to mean, why on earth would you change if you've gotten that fit on carnivore? Why would you change to something different? And I understand why, because kids are always looking for the next new shiny thing to get bigger and bulkier and all of that. But as I say on my channel many, many times, if you're getting the results you want, there's no reason to change anything. And I think that a guy that talks about carbs has gotten into this kid's head and led him down a path.
Yeah. Before I turn it over to Jonathan, just one point, because I've heard other people kind of compare Paul's. And again, I'm not defending eating that amount of carbs. I'm just saying he's out in the sun literally for like 6 hours at minimum every single day. So playing devil's advocate here, we can't really look at before and afters and say, okay, because he's added all these carbs, this happened. There's also other factors such as sun damage to his skin for spending an absorbent amount of hours in the blaring, blasting sun, the salt water and all that. So just playing devil's advocate and playing the other side of the coin, I don't think that's a fair assessment and a fair comparison to make. Can I get away with what he's doing? 100% not. No. Would I? No. But there are other factors than just that that I just kind of wanted to put out there, because I've heard that comparison be made, and I don't think that's necessarily a fair comparison in my opinion. But Jonathan, what do you have to add to any of this conversation about the increase of carbs? Do you agree? Do you not agree? Can he get away with this lifestyle? Will this benefit him?
What I know about him from videos he's made before, and at least in 2 videos I've seen of his before, he's walking around 25,000 steps per day and training something like 1.5 to 2 hours per day. That kind of tells me his expenditure, his output is very high. So no wonder why he wasn't gaining weight and remained so lean on the carnivore diet. The reason is because he was doing too much and not eating enough fat. And if you look back for his prior videos, perhaps 6 months ago, you'll see exactly that. So he's eating maybe 250 grams of protein, maybe a bit more. But he's eating probably what looked like about 150 grams of fat. Now, someone that's that active, you will have to increase fat. You can't just go about it and just rely on protein to turn into sugar eventually if you're eating too much. You have to give the body the right fuel that it needs. Like I said earlier, part of the problem with including carbohydrates is they do cause glycation. They do lead to inflammation. And as soon as you couple a decent amount of carbs with some fats, that activates the Randle cycle, a la more inflammation. So there's net negatives to be had here, and there's a simple fix, and it would be increase fat, decrease activity, and that would give him much more results, much less chance of injury as well, I think.
Bob, are you good to move on, or do you have anything else to add?
No, I'm good.
Okay, here we go.
Cooking. I'm going to prep this meal up, and then that's going to be meal 3. So 4 ounces of sockeye salmon. Typically with my meals, I haven't been going so granularly with the calorie value of each individual ingredient. I've been more just like, I'm gonna have 25 grams of lean protein, and then I'll have a certain amount of carbohydrates, and then whatever additional nutrients that fall into it, it's just a caloric range throughout my day. So I'm just making sure that I get enough overall. So here is primarily carbohydrates, obviously post-workout. Nutrient partitioning is a big thing. So your body's primed to absorb whatever nutrients you're putting into it. So if I'm able to put more carbohydrates around my workout, it's beneficial. And then I'll shift my fats till later on in the day. So 135 grams worth of carbohydrates from white rice and sweet potato, 100 grams of cucumber, and then 4 ounces of sockeye salmon, which is fairly lean in itself.
So, Jonathan, what do you say about this meal and carbs post-workout and pre-workout? So this is about 15 grams of fat. I think this is his first like true fatty source. So he's like 15, 20 grams of fat so far in the day. And so he's eaten mostly carbs so far and minimal protein and minimal fat. So what are you thinking so far?
It kind of makes more sense if you can have carbohydrates, something that you know is going to spike insulin. Do it when your body's in a more insulin receptive state. So it'll be less likely to have spillover, less glycation that might happen in the blood. I'm saying that, like I said, kind of in the last segment, the same thing will still happen. Your body still has to deal with carbohydrates. Another reason I just came up with on the top of my head is all plant sources of carbohydrates, to my knowledge, are high in deuterium, so they make your mitochondria work less effectively. Henceforth, you actually age faster. So we'll see with people on like the ketogenic diet versus people like him, they age faster on a carbohydrate, focused diet. And what he is advocating for, or at least what he's doing right now, attempting, however you want to put it, is a plant-based diet. If you're to look at the calorie intake, assuming that you looked at the food labels and worked out what his macronutrients are, he is following a diet with over 70% plants within it. So he's gone full circle within the space of like a month or two, and he's really packing in the carbs now. One little speculation I'd make is that he's probably doubled at least his food volume. So his digestive system then has to deal with that as well. Now, your stomach does not double in size in 2 months. Your intestines do not double in size. That's a stress to the body, and it's something he's not used to. So ill-advised, in my opinion. What do you think, Bob?
The only thing I've got on this, because, I don't know a whole lot about bodybuilding, and it looks to me like if you're going to do the carb thing, which I'm totally against, but if you're going to do the carb thing, he is going about it in a front load all the carbs, and then hopefully he'll get some fats later in the day. The only thing I would mention is that I think this diet is way too complicated, because did you see the thing I noticed was the scale? He had a scale out to weigh each and everything he's eating. And now, granted, I'm just an old guy that has lost 150 plus pounds. I'm certainly not muscular like that or any of that kind of stuff, but I've never measured anything. And that just looks way too complicated. What if you're following your plan, what if you make a mistake somewhere along the way? How bad does that mess things up for you? Like I said, I don't know anything about doing diets like this, but it just seems really, really complicated to have to weigh everything every meal. That's what I've got.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Before we move on, Jonathan, I know you prepare for shows off and on. You work with clients who are preparing for shows, Jeremy being one of them. Do you and or your clients weigh their food, use a food scale, weigh in grams and all that stuff?
Yeah, for the most part, I mean, Jerome's a good example. He's always done that for the most part. He's done it to some degree. I agree. It's something which you don't have to do. It isn't a prerequisite to get in the best shape of your life. It's just as you get to a very lean body fat, or you're trying to micromanage things when you become more elite in terms of your body composition, it is necessary, it seems, to be a bit more hyper-focused on it. Now, for myself, I've been tracking my nutrient intake for about 8 years. I don't know any different at this point. I don't do it with the thought that, okay, if I go 1 gram over of my fat, I've blown the diet. I'll just log an extra gram of fat. I eat intuitively. I have a set range of what I think is right for the day. And if I'm hungrier than that, I'll go beyond that. And that's kind of how I go about it. But my clients there, for the most part, they all track their food intake. The reason being is they come to me because they've plateaued doing whatever they have done. And I come from the opinion that what can be measured can be managed. So it gives people a better idea of portion control. So the idea, like Bob said, the idea isn't to track everything and your long-term success is dictated upon by, measuring every single food. Ultimately, you want to get to a point where you can just eyeball it and think that's enough food. And if you're hungry, have more. If you're stuffed, have less. It's that simple.
Yeah, 100%. I usually, the same with my clients. I usually just tell them to use the palm of their hand and just kind of give them a frame of reference. So when they are out to eat, they start to learn what portions look like and or start to be able to eyeball things. We did have one comment. Sana says, not trying to group label tracking as a bad thing, but for me, 4 years of weighing everything on keto had me be feeling like I was committed to an eating and too much obsession. I have to censor that out because we don't want to get demonetized here, unfortunately. All right, let's carry on.
Gonna eat this and then on to meal 4. Nadim's gonna be coming over in like 30 minutes? 30 minutes or so, and he's gonna be cooking me a gourmet chef meal. The last time we were with Nadim, he was like, man, I want to get you on my cooking show. And I told him I eat like basically just it's just Nadim. Decline. The last time I was with Nadim, he's like, I want to get you on my cooking show. And I was like, okay, I eat steak and eggs. Can you make something gourmet with that? And he said, probably, but it'll probably be better if you did something else. So this time I think he's doing like a sweet potato puree, some asparagus, which I haven't implemented into my diet, but I'm going to try that shit out. And filet mignon, which is bougie AF, which you guys know I always am. So that meal, I'm going to try to fit it into my macros. He said for his cooking show, he's kind of trying to do like a bodybuilder friendly cooking meal, something along those lines. So it's going to be 25 grams worth of lean protein with filet mignon. I'm going to try to get like 115 grams of carbs from the sweet potato. So I'll probably just make more sweet potato on the side and then eat it afterwards or whatever. I'll do like a cup of the vegetables, whatever he makes with the asparagus and stuff, and less fats this meal. Actually, there'll be about 15 grams of fat. So he's going to throw some olive oil in and cook it as well. So should be a good meal and should be a good time finally getting to chef it up with Nadim, the Mr. 5-star Michelin star chef. I could just eat rocks, to be honest.
So we got sweet potato. We're gonna do a sweet potato puree. Perfect. Filet mignon. We're gonna cut that. We're gonna
That sounds like my kitchen when I try to cook. Smoke alarm going off.
Mine too, Bob. I think we actually had a conversation about me setting off all of our alarms in our house.
Mm-hmm. I like Mike's comment at 12:53 about he weighs his food, steaks in particular, not to track macros, but so I can be proud of how much I ate. Absolutely, Mike.
Yeah. Okay. So he's having sweet potato, asparagus. Good luck with your non-smelly pea, and then filet mignon, which is a very lean meat. It does have some fat in it, But so far, he's been very lean and green, lots of potatoes and rice and lean cuts of meat, lean cuts of steak. So what do you say overall, Bob, about what he's eaten so far today? I think this is meal, what, 4?
Yeah, well, first of all, 4 or 5, I mean, eating all throughout the day, I'm very vocal about that on my channel. But of course, I'm coming at it from getting rid of diabetes type 2. And eating all day long is very bad because your insulin goes up in the morning and stays up all day long. The only thing I would say at this point is where's the fat going? Didn't he say back at the beginning of the video he was going to add some fats in for his hormone health? But
Later in the day,
I haven't seen any of that yet. And if he's having dinner, how much later in the day is he going to eat? That's
yeah,
what
I
I've
think
got.
he eats like 6 times a day now, I'm wondering. But these are just like actual like meals. Like he's eating meals throughout the day. But yeah, what do you got on this so far, Jonathan? I'm not seeing a lot of fat for the hormone regulation yet. I'm wondering if he still has 1 or 2 more meals left.
I think he'll get to a point where he can no longer be satiated from all the carbohydrate-rich meals. I think something will happen where he'll end up just craving fat. So it might be that one day he gorges on, like, I don't know, some French fries or something. That's what I imagine is going to happen, because when your body doesn't get what it needs, you know, the certain nutrients, it has sensors for that, and it begins to crave those foods to acquire those nutrients. So I can see this as being a recipe for disaster, at least in my experience working with people. That being said, I mean, the only fat I've seen in any of these meals is a tiny bit in the beef steaks that he's been searing to high heaven, and some salmon. That's about it. So a rough guess, I've not calculated in my head, but I'd guess like 40 grams of fat in the whole day. And bear in mind, I don't have any clients on lower than 100 grams of fat per day.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's about 30, 40 grams of fat so far, mostly, and what he's getting from this filet and then the salmon earlier in the day. And Andy brought up a good point as well. Digesting food all day long is not healthy either. 100%, especially eating. He's eating full meals. Like these aren't snacks. Like he's consuming full meals throughout the day. And then he says high glucose all day, every day will not help with cancer. That's for sure. It won't help his cognitive health, his cognitive functioning, there's a lot going on here. So let's see what else he's got going on.
Fifth and final actual meal of the day. I'm sure you guys are pretty sick of seeing the same meals over and over again, but as I said, pretty much all my meals consist of similar foods. For this meal, we have 4 ounces of bison sirloin, which is a leaner cut, so I'm gonna have to add some more fats to this meal. It's gonna be 22.5 grams of additional fats, 25 grams of protein from 4 ounces of this bison sirloin. And then I'm gonna have 100 grams of carbs worth of rice, which I believe is 125 grams of jasmine rice. On top of that, I'm gonna throw 7 grams of olive oil in with the rice. And I'm gonna use another teaspoon, which is about 7 to 8 grams of olive oil to cook the zucchini in as well. So this has a little bit more fat in the meal. I'm probably gonna have to add more fat to my last meal of the day just so that I get my additional fats in, but pretty simple meal. I don't feel like showing you guys me eating again, so we'll cut to the last meal of the day. Oh, there's nuts everywhere. So technically this is the 6th meal of the day. I know it's a little bit silly to call it 6 meals because really it's 4 true meals and then 1 shake, intra-workout shake, and then a little bit of casein, protein, as well as fats to finish off the night. 25 grams worth of casein and then 30 grams worth of fat, which is about 45 grams of walnuts to go with this. And that's gonna be the final meal of the day. I'll add all the calories, the macros, all that different stuff on the screen right here. As you guys can tell, it's a decent amount of food I've been massing for the past 3 months, technically now, but it's been the past 2 months that I've really been pushing food pretty hard, especially being that my body weight is so low. in comparison to a lot of other people. So right now I'm about 14 pounds up from the start of my massing period, and I'm feeling good. My training's going well, feeling more full, all that different stuff. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like.
Wow. 14 pounds, guys. 14 pounds in 3 months. The most muscle anyone really gains in.
Or fat, Jonathan? What is it?
Well, just mostly water weight. I'd imagine at best, assuming he did everything right with his training and was just eating more food and stressing his body out a bit less, he might get maybe 2 pounds. So it seems like a lot of stress to put in your heart. Your heart has to carry around the extra 14 pounds. So imagine that's, I guess, 7 or 8% more body weight. His heart has not expanded and dealt with the adaptation process to deal with that much weight on his body in that given time. The same is true for bodybuilders when they compete on stage. They do water cuts and stuff. They drop like 10, 15 pounds. I know people that have dropped 32 pounds in about 2 days. No exaggeration. Nearly all circumstances, they end up needing blood pressure medications because they just chase that weight, and it's not reflective upon how they build muscle. So I almost guarantee if he did a DEXA scan, he wouldn't find much difference at all between before and after. What do you guys think?
I was automatically thinking diabetes train, like maybe not now, but this is going to catch up to him. I have clients who, because that's a misconception with type 2 and even pre specifically, that you have to be overweight or obese to develop diabetes. But I have non-overweight and obese clients who have been diagnosed with pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes, and there's many people walking around in the United States with undiagnosed pre or type 2 diabetes. They don't even know it. So just because he's in shape and lean and musculature and all that, eating that amount of carbs in a day, multiple times a day, every single day, I'm worried about his overall health, his cognitive functioning, if he develops diabetes, and all those things. That's where my mind is going. And he's also counting the walnuts as part of his fat intake, where so far his fat intake has been great. It's been salmon, it's been steak, it's been beef, all that stuff, great. But you can't count the walnuts. He's looking at the back of the label, and there's issues with that. The labels can be upwards of 20% off in either direction. At least here in the United States, nutrition labels are regulated by the FDA, but loosely. It's only by the line items. They don't regulate it in how much of the line items and all that stuff. It's just these things have to be on the label. They don't regulate quantities or all those sorts of things. So that's problem one. Problem two is the bioavailability of the walnuts. So sure, he is getting some nutrients from the walnuts, but it's not as much as he's thinking he's getting. He's not getting the 15 or 30 grams, whatever it is he said he's getting from that bag of walnuts that he's eating. He's likely getting a fraction of that amount, maybe 50, 60% of that amount, because the rest of it is encased in fiber and anti-nutrients. So he's undercutting his fat intake, and I don't think he even realizes that he's eating less fat than he thinks he's eating. What do you got, Bob?
Just a couple of things. First off, I know he is in training for some kind of a show, so that is his job. But I can't imagine the amount of time and effort that he puts into thinking about food, preparing food. I mean, between doing food and doing his workouts, that's his entire day. And I understand that that's his job, but I get exhausted just thinking about trying to come up with that much food. My big problem with Tristan and the doctor that you mentioned earlier and people like them is most people on the internet are not in that kind of shape. They're not surfing 3 hours a day plus skateboarding and doing all those things. And I think people putting out this type of video, it's good for a very specific person, but like say Jonathan, if Jonathan wanted to do, let's say he became he had a problem with his brain and decided he was going to follow Tristan as his main advice. Jonathan's a big enough guy and works out enough that he could get away with this too. But there aren't that many Jonathans out there in the world watching YouTube videos. Most people are like me, or like people in our comments. There are a few people that are very, very active, but for the most part, people see somebody and they go, oh, okay, so that's what I should be doing. It's why I don't do many cooking videos. And when I do cooking videos, it's me making a sardine omelet or my usual big bowl of ground beef or something like that, because I think people tend to copy other people on the internet. And while it's not directly damaging, if you look at who their audience is, like that previous doctor who has what, 600,000-700,000 subscribers, I think he's giving bad advice to the majority of the people that are watching his channel. And while there may be some bodybuilders watching Tristan, I think most of the people that are watching him are dreaming of maybe getting a little bulkier, and they think, oh, well, that's the way to do it, obviously. And I think that is my big problem with people like that.
Yeah, it's I never agreed, and I think I said this in a previous video of mine or a couple previous videos. I never agreed with what I eat in a day videos because people emulate that. And I actually said that in one of my videos about Paul Saladino, that while I don't necessarily disagree with eating some fruit and some honey, do I eat honey? No. Am I opposed to it? No. Like if you're eating a little bit, but he's eating a lot, but that goes back to getting away with it. But people who are sedentary and don't have his highly active lifestyle think because he can do that they can do that. So yeah, I've never agreed with showing people what you eat on the internet, because there's always going to be that pocket of people that emulates that and thinking if they eat that way and they look like that or whatever, then I can eat that way and I can look like that. And that's not true. It's not true. And that's the main reason I've never liked what I eat in the day videos from anyone. I don't care who you are. I don't like seeing that on the internet, because while you might be good intentioned and just think it's not a big deal, this is just what I eat. And you know, most people are good at saying, this is what I eat. This isn't me saying this is what you eat. But you know, it's like, don't open that door. Don't look over there. They're going to open that door and they're going to look over there. It's always going to be those people. So that's why I never agreed with what I eat in the day videos. How about you, Jonathan? We do have a couple comments in the chat we can get through in a bit too.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same opinion about what I eat in a day videos. If I put a video like that out, for example, that would probably get more clicks than Nicole's one, because I'm a bodybuilder. You know, you think, what's this big guy eating? You know, it's more curious, mysterious kind of thing. But people will be seriously underwhelmed if they realize what I'm eating in a day. It's the same thing as everyone else. I just happen to eat a little bit more of it. I'm not eating 3 pounds of meat per day. I'm eating 1 to 1.5 pounds maybe. I supplement with whey protein powder. I have eggs. I have dairy. I have raw milk. Fish, that's about it. You know, beef, things like that. There's nothing revolutionary about it. Now, if I was to be like some people that are saying, oh, I eat 6 pounds of meat in a day, rubbish. No, you don't. I don't know anyone that eats that much. I know one guy that is a postman. I've actually worked with 3 postmen over the last 6 months, funny enough, and they've got the largest intakes of anyone I know. Their protein's a bit higher, and their fat's much, much higher. Theirs is much higher than mine. Now, I outweigh these people by a significant amount, but I'm not particularly active. I'm quite sedentary, apart from going to the gym and doing 3 to 4 less than 1 hour workouts per week. So yeah, this sort of thing is a bad representation of what people should be doing. He's gone from 0 carbs to 500 plus, apparently. And he's gained a load of water weight, inflammation, and body fat. An observation from his first video prior to starting this diet to current, he does have some acne, which seems new, at least in our last video. Is that related? I don't know. It could be something else, but time will tell. So I think it's good to give people a fair chance. Just see what happens. He might do this and taper it back a bit. It might increase the fats a bit from animal sources. But at the end of the day, we're just critiquing the video. We're not making personal attacks. We're just giving people our honest opinions based on the fact that, you know, we've all been following the carnivore diet now probably for combined 5, 6, 7 years, we kind of got a good idea and grasp of what's going on. Nicole's trained in nutrition. I'm trained in nutrition. Bob's trained in knowing a lot of stuff about lots of different things. So, you know, that's just us. It's just our opinion.
Yeah, and I do eat minimal carbs. I eat berries. I'll have cashews. I'll have avocado and stuff like that. So I'm not opposed to carbs, and I've been very open about that since the very beginning. I did go 0 carb and eliminated everything to get started, just to get me feeling right and get the inflammation down. And then I kind of just dabbled to see what affects me and how I feel eating certain things. And this is just what I landed on: berries, mostly strawberries and blueberries. A little bit of cashews and avocado primarily are my carb sources. So I'm not opposed to carbs. The thing I'm opposed to is the amount of carbs he's eating, because of those long-term effects, the inflammatory response, the digestive issues. It's really not, he's going to be malnourished from not eating a lot of animal foods, and just in general, it's largely carbs. So there's going to be a malnourishment aspect to that as well. He's going to be missing key nutrients to help with his cognitive functioning, his hormone regulation, his body temperature, his organ functioning, his cellular health, like all these things. That's where I'm coming at it with just the amount of carbs he is eating. It just blows my mind. Craig again. Most days I will occasionally slip in some asparagus or cabbage. Since you are into labels, I suppose you would call me carnivore. I'm not sure who you're addressing that to, but I have been open about, I actually made a video on not agreeing with labels. So I don't know who this is directed at, but you do you. If you feel good eating those things, I personally don't consider that a slip, honestly. If that works for you, if you're intending to go 0 carb and 100% carnivore, which technically carnivore is like 72 to 80% animal foods, but if you want to go 0 carb and you eat asparagus or cabbage and don't intend to, then sure. But honestly, you do what's best for you. That's why I don't label myself as carnivore, ketovore, whatever, just low carb, because if I eat something, that's what works for me, and I don't want to feel like I messed up or I slipped up if I eat something that I shouldn't have eaten or whatever. I just don't like that mindset. I like food freedom. I like the option and the ability to be able to eat whatever I want. If I want a slice of pizza, I'll eat a slice of pizza. Do I? No, but I like that I can, and I don't have those binge eating tendencies and addictions that I used to have. That's what I believe everyone should strive for: food freedom, and knowing that you can eat something and not binge or not be addicted or not have your cravings go through the roof. But what do you guys think about labels and slip ups and stuff like that? Do you guys have any opinions?
I think labels are not good. I've always been a big advocate on my channel of try your little N=1 experiments. What works for you may not work for somebody else, but it will certainly work for you. I thought I saw somebody commenting to Craig earlier, so I think that comment that he put in was actually responding to somebody else rather than any of us. But that being said, we all slip a little bit here and there. Me personally, I do the occasional keto chow shake because, well, I'm an affiliate with them, and I like to be able to talk sensibly about their products. I have to try their products on occasion. And if you've seen any of the YouTube home pages today or the front page, I'm sure everyone already knows that there's a new keto chow flavor out today. So that's what today's video is going to be about here in another couple of hours when it comes out. So I don't, I try not to label anybody. As I say on my channel many, many times, if it's working for you and you're seeing the results you want to see, there's no reason to change anything. And don't be so dogmatic about things. The example I use is back in the start of my journey with my channel, I had a gal that's like, I can't give it up. She's eating a small bite of chocolate every night for dessert. But knowing she was going to get that small bite of chocolate as her dessert for dinner kept her from messing up the rest of the day. And I say, if it works for you, that's great. And as long as you're seeing the results that you want to see, that's also great. Again, just to reiterate my point, my whole argument with channels like this is that I think they're giving the wrong impression to too many people, because not everybody out there is a Jonathan or a Nicole or a doctor. They're not doing the things that they're doing. That's why I wanted to do this today. Thanks.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Bob. What about you, Jonathan? What do you think?
Yeah, I appreciate both your thoughts. I think you both make very good points. All I'll really say is I think there's a misnomer in this community, at least by the person who's created it, and it's the idea of a ketovore, including vegetables. Well, by definition, if someone's ketogenic and carnivore, ketovore, they'll be consuming high-fat, animal-based diet. They wouldn't be eating vegetables. That's just one thing I have to get off my chest, which doesn't make much sense to me. I think it's a bit backwards, that kind of way of thinking. With that being said, like if I was to define myself, I'd say by definition, I'm extremely strict carnivore, but that's by the contrast of how I compare myself to other people that I know online. The average person I speak to is perhaps 90%, maybe 80% carnivore. The average person out there isn't as strict as I am because they don't have to be. So I think what people should be doing is if they're coming to the carnivore diet from a point of health, okay, gradually phase it in, see what works. Oh, that's good. I'm 80% carnivore. Great, that works really good. Okay, when time comes by and you think, oh, I've got a bit of inflammation, my gut hurts a bit. Okay, change something else, go to 85%. You'll find what percentage is useful to you, and that individual kind of variability does come into it. Myself, I probably am 98, 99% carnivore by nutrient value, so by the food that I take in. Some herbs, some spices, not very often at all. Then 1 to 2 meals off per month with my family, which I quite enjoy, which is usually planned. So that's kind of my sense of normality, at least in terms of like being around people with traditional meals and things like that. But yeah, just do what you can do. It may surprise some people. I've tried a diet with meat, fruit, and honey, and I felt substantially worse. And that's as someone that is very physically active and still relatively quite young. So for me, that's not for me. I'm also intolerant to berries and extremely intolerant to chocolate and anything cocoa-based. So I don't eat those foods. So for me, having a carnivore diet is beneficial. I benefit more from not including those things. But if someone likes it and they can tolerate it, and they don't notice a negative health impact, and they're happy with their health status, and carry on doing whatever you have to do.
What are these herbs you speak of? Is that a British term? What herbs?
It's got a damn H on it. You guys call it herbs, don't you?
That's herbs. Herbs.
Yeah, it's so H, when you pronounce H, is a silent H, but when you put it in front of a word, it's a H sound.
Okay, herbs. Wait, I have to make fun of Jonathan at least once per stream. What do you got, Bob?
I just want to make a comment to Craig there, because he put that up. My answer to that is no, I have not tried the pumpkin spice. I don't plan on trying the pumpkin spice. And my whole theme for fall can be summed up in Dear Pumpkin Spice, you're wrong. Signed, apple cider.
Wow. Okay. I used to love pumpkin spice, though. Jonathan, I agree to a large degree with your ideology on the different labels. Yeah, I mean, as long as you're eating predominantly animal foods, I'm probably about 85%, 90% animal based with those minimal carbs, like once a day. I'll have it like in one of my meals. Well, now I'm OMAD, so I have it for my only meal. But as long as you're eating predominantly animal foods and you can tolerate certain things, that's where the individuality comes into play. So I always say, just do you, do what works for you, and don't be dogmatic about it. And let's just be a supportive community and not push people out or yell at people because they had a strawberry. I've gotten yelled at for eating blueberries. Like it's seriously not that big of a deal, in my opinion.
Yeah. And as well, my partner Sophie, so she's Muscle Mama Sophie on YouTube. She's no longer carnivore, but she's not carnivore because she thinks the diet's crap bad. It's just because she doesn't like the restriction of it. So for her mental health, it's not beneficial. And I didn't say anything negative to her when she said that. She said, "Oh, fair enough. You know, what are you going to do? You're still animal based, I'm guessing." She's like, "Yeah, I'm just going to add in a few bits here and there. If I want something, I'll have it. I just won't go crazy." And she's a moderator, which is quite unusual. So for her, having the odd, slice of bun or something on a burger isn't the biggest deal. For me, it all will add up. My body has to deal with that. As someone with autism, I'm on the autistic spectrum, for what it's worth. I don't tolerate these foods as well. I have to be more specific. That's part and parcel of me being me. It's my own individual, unique makeup. Now I have sometimes pickles, sauerkraut, things like that. I'm talking about a tablespoon or something, not a lot. That doesn't seem to hurt me too much, so I'm quite happy taking that sometimes. So let's read what he said. Nicole, we are speaking English, and Jonathan is English. We are not. Still fun to make fun. Yeah. I always get that. It's like, so what's funny about this? When I started my YouTube channel, I had over 20% people having to put captions in my videos to understand what I'm saying. Now it's about 10 to 12%. Bart K has about 15, and Dave Mack has 20. So people do understand my accent. If you don't understand my accent, that's on you. I can't speak your native language. I speak my native language, which is the most popular on YouTube. It just so happens that the majority of my users are American, around 40, 50%. So I can't change my accent to fulfill other people's needs. If you can't understand me, that's up to you. I can't change my voice. So
Jonathan, drop in the mic. I think back in the day, UK ruled the world. England ruled the world, right? So I guess we speak a different language. I guess Jonathan's is the universal language, and I don't know. I don't know if I can get down with the herbs. But No Insanity says, who do we have to talk to defund the food police? That's funny. And Andy, you're kicked out. I had half a baked potato last night. You're axed. It was on the side waiting to get thrown away, so I ate it. How was it? Was it good? I haven't had a baked potato with melted cheese in so long. I'm afraid that would jack my stomach, but how was it? Let us know if you have any questions. I don't see anything. If you have anything else. Ooh. Annette, I watch British crime dramas, so I can understand you.
yeah, I love that. Yeah. Our TV, honestly, the Americans do some things much better than the British or English people do. Dramas are okay. I'd say most of what I watch is American. Most of the content I take in, the media I take in, is American. But yeah, I don't know about my accent. I've got it depends where you go in my country. So if you literally go 2 hours that way, you'll have a different accent to 2 hours that way, or 2 hours north of me is completely different as well. There's a lot of different accents in our small space. So, for example, the differential between East Coast and West Coast, or East Coast and Southern, like Texas or something, that's within like a 50, 100 mile radius of me right now. So it's quite bizarre. So my accent's very neutral. I don't have a twang, you might call it. But then Sophie has a slight twang to her accent. It's not a Cockney London accent, but it's slightly Essex, very slightly. But she's on that fine border where if you went 20 miles down the road from her, it'd be a different story. So
yeah, sometimes when Sophie speaks fast, I have a hard time understanding some of her words, and I have to say what and ask her to repeat something. So yeah. So I don't see any. Oh, Jerome's late to the party. Way to show up, Jerome. Way to show up. So, to close this out, we definitely appreciate you guys hanging with us. Bob, do you have any parting words for us today?
Not really. Just thanks for letting me join you today. Everybody on my channel, don't forget to go down in the comments and thank Nicole and Jonathan for their time today. And as I always say when I'm about ready to sign off, don't forget, get out there, be 1% better today, tomorrow, every day.
There you go. Jonathan, what about you, Jonathan, who's talking muted?
Yeah, I can't top what Bob said. I'll just say subscribe to all our channels, enjoy our content, click like, comment on all the videos, say thanks for the video, something like that. It does help. If enough people do that, it does help. And I appreciate, obviously, people like Bob, Nicole put out such regular content. So if they offer something like, I don't know, a channel membership perhaps, I'd advise joining it. It does help them. It is a small income for them, but it does help. And it's not so much the money, it's more the gratification, understanding, okay, these people have been impacted by some videos that I put out. They've been inspired, motivated, informed. And I think that's really valuable. So thank you both.
Thank you, Jonathan, the man, the myth, the legend himself. And thank you, Bob, for joining us on this fun reaction. I was surprised that you wanted to do a reaction with us, but yeah, this was a fun one. I hope you guys had fun hanging with us. We definitely appreciate you spending your afternoon with us. I know some of you were listening while you were at work, so everyone in the chat and everyone watching the replay, we definitely appreciate you supporting us. Please do drop us all likes and subs. As Jonathan and Bob says, it really helps our channels grow and helps the community grow. But other than that, I will be live again in just a few hours. This is a busy YouTube day for me. I don't know how this happens, but I will be live tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with Nurse Kim, Breaking Thin, Chuck, as well as Minimalist Carnivore. I hope I got all that right. But we will be live at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're free, please do hang out with us and watch me again. But other than that, enjoy the rest of your afternoon, evenings, mornings, wherever you are in the world. And until next time, have a happy and healthy day. See you later, everyone.